listening to theoutdoorstation.co.uk.
Hi there and welcome to another podcast from the Outdoor Station on a very, very warm and sunny afternoon. We're just about to go into June. The weather has turned absolutely magnificent this weekend and we've got all the jobs done. We're back from the TGO Challenge. Thanks very much for all those very, very kind notes that everybody sent us and comments and so on. We've caught up with most of our shop work. We've caught up with the gardening, as you do, after being away for a couple of weeks. The hedges are now trimmed, the garden's cut, the grass is cut, things are sorted and tidied up, and we've just had a very, very pleasant barbecue and a couple of very chilled beers this afternoon. And now Rosa just headed out to go for a short ride on her horse for a couple of hours, which leaves me feeling very lonely, but guilty that I haven't done a podcast since I came back. So here I am. I thought I'd sneak a quick one in and catch up with everybody. So, firstly, I hope you're all having a very, very good outdoors weekend. The weather's certainly suiting it. And if you're not, you're having a chilled out one. And hence the music. We're going for a chilled theme this particular podcast. And it'll all become clear very, very soon. So, what have we got on the show today? Well, we've got an interview with Callum Richardson-Adobe, who is the owner of the Dalwhinnie Inn. Now, this interview I recorded as part of the TGO Challenge, and it'll be in the TGO series when I finish editing that and putting that one together. But I thought it was only right that we should actually support him and promote some of the things he's doing up at the Dalwhinnie Inn, which I think will be of great interest to outdoor fans everywhere, anywhere in the country, in fact, and hopefully the interview will explain more. We've also have a chat with Katie Teasdale, who I've met a couple of times, who's the PR manager for Fuji Film, and we talk about what is the latest ideal camera to use for outdoors people, and there's a new one just been launched, so we talk to her about that. But first, let's talk caravans. Well, love them or hate them, they're here. And at the I don't know which show it was now I went to, one of the travel shows at the beginning of the year, there was a range of outdoor sort of businesses and so on, and one of which was the Airstream Europe caravan, which is basically it's the iPod of caravans. It's absolutely gorgeous. And Andy thinks that you have to be of a certain age to start seeing caravans as being appealing, but I defy anyone not to be excited by an Airstream. Now, people probably will recognise them when they see them straight away. It's that sort of chrome finish, curved, beautifully shaped trailer, designed to perfection. The interior is absolutely 5-star, and it's an iconic, gorgeous travel trailer, well out of my pocket, but it may be in the pocket of other people. But it's sumptuous and tactile, and even so much so that at the show they had to put a barrier around it to stop people stroking it and caressing the polished aluminium. Very, very true, in fact. So it was actually fenced off, and you could just look through the windows and have a look through the door. But like everyone else, I was drawn to it, fascinated by this level of opulence in a caravan, and I spoke to Michael Holder, who's the sales manager from Airstream Europe, and had to ask him for more information.
Okay, this is an Airstream 684 International double bed. It's 6.8 metres long by 2.3 metres wide, which is 22 foot and 7 foot 6.
Okay, now to the crude it is a caravan. But to the more discerning eye, it is more like the iPod of that sort of accommodation.
That's right, Bob. We call it the ultimate travel trailer, and that's what it is. It really is. It's just a very gorgeous and cool piece of iconic architecture that you can take anywhere you wish.
Now, I understand it's sort of a bit of an American-UK partnership.
It is indeed, yeah. We're a small independent company. We've designed the European range of travel trailers, and we source the components, we design them, we actually send those components to the States, and then Airstream build them to our order. And so it is a fully compliant European travel trailer. The American versions technically are completely different to what we need in this road for our campsites and our cars. they don't have the weight issue, and our electrics, brakes, suspensions, lights, gas, everything is completely different.
Actually, I'd like to explore that for a second. So I've always assumed that the Americans would have had everything under control from that point of view, but
we have, everything's just different. I mean, let's face it, they're 110 volts, we're 220, 240.
Right.
Their gas systems are different, their water systems are different, their hookups, their braking. So technically, aesthetically, we're the same.
Right.
Technically, completely different.
Okay. And I presume the vehicles they pull them with are much heavy-duty vehicles, aren't they?
Yeah, they're much heavier. But now the Americans are even starting to concern themselves about weight as well. Our nose weights are half their nose weights, but the Americans are starting to really be concerned about weight. And when you ask who their R&D managers at the factory in Ohio, then they'll actually say it's our technical partner in the UK. Right. So we're actually showing the Yanks the way when it comes to good weight saving and good economy.
Well, it's a work of art to be sitting inside this. It's absolutely gorgeous. Is that air conditioning I can hear going as well? Yeah, it's got every mod con, but it's also so uniquely and neatly designed that presumably when it's actually moving, nothing can fall, slip, clatter or anything.
No. We've even got £10 pull catches on all the doors and cupboards, so when you stop the destination of your choice, everything's still in perfect harmony.
Now, they come presumably in a range of sizes.
That's right. We start from 14 foot. That's the Bambi. That's just a gorgeous, cute little Airstream that was launched at the Caravan Boat Show at the NEC last week. That retails at £34,900. And this to our... And then we've got other models in between, up to our flagship model, the 684, which is £49,000, yeah.
Right, and this one we're sitting in now, how much is that?
£49,000.
49.
Yeah.
So who buys these then? What are the customers?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole host of people who are now Airstreamers, but really the real common denominator are people who've got an eye. We've got architects, photographers, designers, engineers, people who really appreciate what an Airstream is about, and they love the whole aesthetics, both inside and outside. They just simply fall in love with it.
Well, you certainly feel like a movie star sitting in here. Do you have any sort of from the entertainment industry buy them?
They rent them. James Martin, the TV chef, he's got a 684. He's got a long-term rent from us at the moment, such is the way. We have quite a few in the fashion world. One very senior guy from a very top fashion brand has one as his pool room next to his tennis court and swimming pool, and he just simply loves it. We have people who simply now are giving up their jobs, they're giving up their homes, and simply want to get on the road and having a gap year in their 40s and 50s. They're just thinking, we just want to go. And they're just following that dream, the American dream, and they're following the European dream. They simply are just escaping and just taking an Airstream and just taking where their heart takes them.
Well, exploring that one a bit more. I mean, it's a very iconic unit to take on the road, and obviously it's got all the extra features and so on. Have you any idea the sort of reactions they get from around Europe when they turn up at a site with this?
You get this. You get thumbs up. You literally, people are just fascinated. They love it. I actually took one through the centre of Milan last year, and it caused a mild sensation. And Bellissimo was the general factor, and people just hooting the horns and throwing their thumbs up. It's universally loved by everybody. It's almost like the real... Anything that's beautifully designed makes you smile whether you see it or use it, and this is what an Airstream does, and I'm still in love with it now. 8 years ago I went to see them in the States at a big RV show. I fell in love with them, and I persuaded the Americans that they should actually be exporting after 75 years. They'd never done it.
Yeah. And how has it taken the American owners? What do they think of the impact it's made on this side of the water?
They knew it's a small niche market and it's going to take a long time to get that awareness. I mean, they've been going now nearly 80 years, so there's over 100,000 Airstreams in the States and Canada. We've got 85 dealers, so it is the ultimate brand in the States. And we're trying to get that awareness here. Last week at the Caravan Boat Show, Airstream 684 won the top award for the top caravan.
Congratulations.
And it won it last year, and it won it in Germany as well. So it's starting to get that real awareness now. If you want the ultimate travel trailer, then it's got to be an Airstream.
Well, with that in mind, where can they find more information about you?
Well, the best thing to do is to check our website out at airstreameurope.co.uk. We're based at T-Bay in Cumbria. We're right on junction 38 of the M6. We're open from Monday to Friday.
So you finally make the break and you have your big trip this year. Perhaps it's in the UK, perhaps you're exploring parts of the UK you've not been to before. You're going to mainland Europe and perhaps looking at the one of the GR routes or the Pyrenees, or you're going further afield. But everybody, I think, without fail, wants to record their trip in some way using a digital camera. Things are developing and changing all the time, of course, and in 2009 there is no exception from new models coming from Fuji. Now, at the Outdoor Image Show, which was the photography show at the NEC at the beginning of the year, I met up with Katie Teasdale, who is the Fujifilm PR manager, and asked once again, what's new for outdoors users. So we talk about new products, pixels, and the practicalities of owning a durable quality outdoor camera.
Well, we've got a brand new camera that we launched last week, which is called the Finepix Z33WP. It's the world's smallest 3-metre waterproof camera. It comes in a really fun range of colours, and we're kind of targeting this at the outdoor kind of family, young people, anybody that's into outdoor sports, want a roughy-tufty kind of camera that's also waterproof and provides really good image quality, then this is the camera that they should be looking for.
Okay, now you started off by saying it's a 3-metre camera. Do you mean it's a 3-metre drop or 3-metre water?
3-metre depth in water, and you can be underwater 3 metres for 2 hours.
Okay, now some of the cameras that have been on the marketplace that said they are waterproof, when you actually look at them very closely, they've got a lot of little holes for the SD card and the battery slide cover and so on. How robust are the actual covers for this camera?
Oh, very. I mean, we wouldn't be able to say really that it was able to sustain that amount of time underwater without it being robust, because obviously we understand that images are really important. They're representative of people's memories on holiday, and we would hate to think that those would get either ruined or not what they wanted from a camera from us. So it's gone through rigorous testing. It's not meant for sort of deep sea diving. This is a fun camera, so scuba diving. It's a perfect camera for that kind of audience.
I see it's available in a range of juicy colours. Is there 4 colours there, or is there more?
Yes, that's full colour range. Really nice, bright, kind of tropical colours. Something that makes you feel really cheery when you pick them up.
And obviously very small, as cameras are now. They're getting smaller and smaller, but still delivering the goods, because I understand this is a 10 megapixel camera?
Yeah, that's right. It's 10 megapixels. It's got a 3 times optical zoom. So we've always prided ourselves on image quality, and we don't feel that we have to compromise style and image quality for a camera that we're targeting at this audience. Along with 10 megapixels and 3 times zoom, it's also got a function called Scene Recognition Auto. So what that does is the camera automatically identifies what kind of scene you're looking at. So whether it's macro, so somewhere close up, or a portrait, the camera then switches and optimizes the best settings for that camera. So brightness, skin tones, etc., all done within the camera when you have it switched to Scene Recognition Auto.
And like most cameras, does this one also do movies as well?
Yes, it does have a successive movie function, so you're able to not just record your stills, you can record a short movie on there. Again, these are great for people who want to share those kind of images with people, either on Facebook or just email them over to people. People do like to record images in various ways.
And when we're looking at this sort of camera and the technology that's changing, I saw you here last year, and the megapixels have crept up and crept up and crept up.
Sure.
What's the sort of difference that is noticeable to people when they actually start increasing the megapixels?
I think the industry has moved and crept more and more forward towards more pixel numbers, but it's also the sensor quality, so it's marrying up the amount of pixels that you've got with the sensor, and that's what we've done. We've also launched another camera here, the F200 EXR, which has a new Super CCD EXR sensor in, so that means that the quality of images that people are getting is reflective of what they remember it to be. We've tried to emulate how the human eye sees images and try to say that when people do print those images, it's exactly as they see them. I think most people are now on to their 2nd or 3rd digital compact that they're buying, and sometimes they've been disappointed with the quality of the results that they've got, especially when they've printed things off. So they're now looking to invest in probably a more expensive digital compact, not necessarily looking as pixels as the first variable that they would go to when they look to buy a camera, but also looking at what technology is actually within the camera.
Yeah, I mean, there are several things involved in taking the picture, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's the quality of the lens.
Yeah.
There's obviously the compression ratio of the actual storage of the picture, and probably in some way some of the format that's actually stored onto as well.
Yeah.
And very not so much is being told to the consumer about those developments as much as just pure numbers on the pixels.
I think as an industry we've tried to educate people about what sort of things they should be looking for when they're buying a digital camera. So not necessarily just to look for a high number of pixels, what else they should be looking for, so a high quality sensor, signal processing, good quality lens, all of those kind of things. And I think people are trying to understand that, but it is quite hard for sort of Joe Average to wonder what is going to be the best camera to buy when there's such a choice. We have been extremely successful in our compact range of cameras because we know that the image quality is something that is always apparent. So we do invest heavily in what actually goes into the actual body of the camera and not just looking at kind of the superficial or outside look shell.
Absolutely. The camera's just been launched. It's obviously going through the various dealers at the moment. What's the actual high street price of it?
It will be available from April, and the SRP is $199.
$199, excellent. The stand here at Fuji is certainly surrounded by many people of all different sort of skills and backgrounds. You can see sort of just casting your eye across them. But this is an unusual camera to be showing here. Has it gained interest?
Yeah, we've had lots of interest. We have last year with our Z20. Again, it was a colourful range of cameras. I think it's good for us to be able to show a full diverse range of cameras. So we have everything that is targeted to the professional photographer through to the aspiring professional and those that take photography as a serious hobby, to even sort of family type targeted compacts as well. So it's good for us as a company to be able to showcase a full range of products, but certainly the Z33 WP has had huge interest because it looks so different and it's a fun young camera to join with our other class leading compacts that we have.
So it's ideal really for people who perhaps have two types of interest in a family. If you have somebody who's a youngster that just wants to take a snap, they can pick it up and take a good picture, or if you've got somebody that has obviously got a bit more experience, they can switch it over to manual and control what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, our cameras are we believe that they're able to be used by many different types of level of photographer, so whether it's just a happy snapper through to the pro. The Z33 WP is really kind of targeted at anybody that wants to use a fun, young-looking camera. It's colourful, it brights, it makes you feel happy just using it, and certainly looking at the colours on a beach will make you very popular.
Life comes swiftly and you suddenly takes you by surprise. Unexpected feels so hectic, no time to decide. Leave your conflict, leave your strife, bring an open mind.
Now, you may be wondering why I dropped that piece of music in before this interview. Well, first of all, it is an example of chill-out music, and the title was Preface by the Shanghai Restoration Project. And no, you won't be listening to that on Radio 1, 2, or any of the other stations. Chill-out music's got a sort of a fairly eclectic following, really. You have to explore and find out more about where to get the music from, and thankfully things are a lot easier these days being online. And now, why that piece of music? Well, it sort of introduces the next interview that I've got with the owner of the Dalwhinnie Inn. We called in on sort of the 5th day of our TGO challenge. It was our first sort of proper overnight stop, as it were, where the girls can get themselves sorted and we could recharge our batteries. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised on how much it had changed since the last time I came through 5 or 6 years ago. Previously, it was very much a coaching inn, and you know, they coached the people in and coached them back out again. But Callum, the owner, has really changed the place as a destination, and it's very much a destination which could be considered for the forthcoming summer months, if not, you know, all year round, really. I think probably the best person to describe the changes that have gone on and some of the things that are available there now is Callum himself. So join me sitting by the river behind the inn, and this interview will be included also in the TGO series when that's finished editing that one. So enjoy and listen, and perhaps have a thought about visiting Dalwhinnie later on this year. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, and I'm sitting outside the Dalwhinnie Inn, right beside the river, next to Callum, the owner. And certainly when you first meet Callum, you realise he's not actually a local, so I'm fascinated to know how somebody like yourself came to obtain the Dalwhinnie Inn.
Sure. Well, actually, I am Scottish, although the accent is very misleading. My family are all further south in Dunblane in the Stirling area. But previously I was working in the extreme sports industry, and I was in Southern California, came back from there, and we wanted to do something that involved finding a hotel that was in a good location for extreme sports, that we knew people who loved the outdoors, we could provide a service that would meet their needs, and something that we understood. It was a market we got our head round. So when we took over, we inherited the business as a coaching business. You know, a lot of coaches pulling up, stay for 2 or 3 nights, move on, next coach arrives. So we weathered the storm of that one for the first year and then stopped doing the coaches, and for the last 2.5 years now we've done nothing but look after independent travellers and have an increasing number of people who are outdoors people and connect us with that environment. So it's been a fun journey.
Well, I was here 5 years ago, and as you say, it was definitely the coach customers that seem to form the majority. Obviously, Dalwhinnie itself is bypassed by the main road there. Have you found that to be an advantage or a disadvantage as regards this sort of it creates this sleepy backwater?
It's funny, the road is a fairly critical thing in as much that our location, people think you're not going to pick up an awful lot of passing trade through here. But it's actually dramatically different than that compared to other places. You could be in Newton Moor or Kingussie and it could be an absolute ghost town, and we'll be absolutely heaving here. And the reason for that is in part because we're one of the few filling stations along the way here in Dalwhinnie, because I don't think people realise that there isn't a gas station every 10 miles along the A9. So that is fairly critical. And also we're on that access road for going across to the west coast to Skye. So we get the north and south traffic coming to us, and then we have the offshoot to Skye as well, people going from the west coast. So we do really well from that. But although we're only 2 miles from the A9, the other advantage, as you say, when you're sitting here like we are now by the river, it feels like you really are in the wilderness, in the middle of nowhere. So it's a lovely combination, really.
The impression I had of the village when I came through several years ago, and it doesn't really seem to have changed that much, is that it seems to be a very quiet place. There's probably best part of 100 houses, I suppose, but there doesn't seem to be much in the way of local activity. What is it actually like living here? Is it fairly quiet?
It is a quiet place, and I think the population now for Dalwhinnie is probably no more than about 60 people. And the majority of those people either work for the distillery or more likely are estate workers. So it's a very, very small community, and an increasing number of houses are owned by people who have them as a second home, as a holiday home. But the local activity itself is fairly small. You're not talking about a population with a huge disposable income, and most people work very long hours, especially the estate workers. So they're people we would see sporadically during the course of the week. It is a very sleepy place, there's no doubt about that. But it's very busy with outsiders who are, if the weather's good or even if the weather's bad, people who are out climbing, mountain biking, using the loch as well. The loch is vastly underused, but there are more people outside coming here than there are insiders who really benefit or enjoy it, to be honest with you.
You've obviously got a station here which services the village, which is great. And we walked along the loch side yesterday and saw some of the construction that's going on down there. Is there a story attached to some of those buildings?
Oh, very much so. I mean, I'd say one thing about the station, which is a great thing that we benefit from there as well, is that the overnight sleeper train comes from Euston straight to Dalwhinnie. So we get a lot of people who are coming up from London who are looking for outdoors activity, and they'll just take the train and be here 7:30 in the morning, have breakfast, and off they go straight out to enjoy it. On the loch, yes, that side that you were referring to is the Benalder estate, which is owned by an incredibly wealthy Swiss billionaire, and he is spending absolutely millions and millions of pounds on there. He's built his own estate houses, the big Disneyland house. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes,
as far down
yes.
the end. He's last year built a helipad onto the loch, which opens up in the hillside, sucks the helicopter in, and the hill shuts again. It's like a Bond movie. And he is now currently, the project you probably saw is he's rebuilding a church. He bought an old church, moved it brick by brick down here, and I believe the ultimate goal is that's going to be his final resting place. So great if you've got the money to do it. And the irony is only here 4 weeks a year. So
I was to say, does he actually bring much business into the area?
he's obviously creates a huge amount of employment in terms of the estate. He does not skimp on investing in that. So I know certainly the estate workers, they're provided with their own accommodation. The accommodation's good. He's constantly making sure that the quality of their accommodation is up to scratch. And obviously he's keeping a lot of people employed building stuff for him. So I think people balk at it a little bit, but the reality is you need estate owners to have the money to be able to fund these things and to keep the estate managed well. It's a pretty challenging job, and so I think people are very enthusiastic about the fact that the guy's here doing that.
I know, again, from the various trips that we have done over the years through Scotland, that when you do speak to local people, they generally have 2 or 3 jobs. It does seem to be that sort of necessity. If you to keep things going, you need to be able to turn your hands to everything. How have you found it employing staff?
Well, funnily enough, there isn't anybody who's local who works for us, and that's not through lack of opportunity for the people to apply for those jobs. I'm not really sure what the reason is for that, and I know most of the hotel trade does rely on people who are travellers or from other countries coming to work for them. We have a head chef who is Scottish, I've got a second chef who's Scottish, and I've got one girl who's working front of house who is Scottish, but the rest are a mix of Australians and Canadians. So we're lucky that we've managed to retain the same people for, well, some of them for the entire time I've been here and others for 2 years, which is unusual. A lot of people have a very high staff rotation. But I think we've managed to do that by creating a culture here that's good fun to work in. It's a nice atmosphere. It's not your conventional kind of hotel in terms of the spirit and the energy of the place. But I would be very encouraging of having local people to work. It's a good thing because obviously we know the local area to a reasonably good degree. But it's nice if somebody comes and they can meet somebody who's local who can answer all sorts of other questions that they want to answer. But we've made a good job of making sure we're as well versed as we can be to facilitate that.
Well, it's a lovely vibe you've got going in the place. Very much the sort of chill-out feel to the main lounge area there. And I gather you've made some alterations, obviously, since you took over the place. And I see you put on sort of various music events as well. Does that gather a great audience?
It does. It's been a big success, actually. It was a result of just a coincidental meeting with a group of DJs who were travelling up to a festival in Inverness. And they said, we would love to play here. This would be a great venue. And they loved our food as well, and especially some of them who were vegetarians. We're going, oh, the food's fantastic. And so we started coming up with a plan. And then the first plan was to do a one-off event called Lockstock. And that went at the end of September. We did 24 hours solid DJs playing back-to-back. And it was amazing. I think we hit about 350 people here who were for that. The following year, then we started thinking, well, people are asking for more of this, so how can we do this on a smaller scale? So we now have an event every first Saturday of the month called Dalwhinnie Sessions, We have DJs from all over the UK playing here, whether they're Scottish or very good friend of mine from Head Candy. She was playing here for Valentine's Day. So the quality of the DJs is brilliant, but it's the way of combining the food and the music together that I think really works. So we're full most weekends for that, and there's a website for that which is dalwhinniesessions.com, which is separate from the hotel website, which gives more information about what's going on and who's playing.
And where do people come from to attend that sort of event? Do they come from very far?
We've had people from Spain come specifically for it, but generally from Scotland it's anywhere from the Central Belt upwards. But we have people from Northern England as well who've come, some from London. I think, and we've had a lot of them who've just come back again. You know, once they've been here once, they've just really enjoyed it and got into it. And it's kind of a unique feel to it. It's better than, you know, you go to a club for the night, it costs you an awful lot of money, and it's over. Whereas if you're here, nobody is in a rush. They're out by the river, sipping cocktails, meeting new people. The music's all day, and they just kind of get into the spirit of it, and it becomes quite addictive.
Now, I understand the relationship you've got with the people on the TGO Challenge, the challengers as we refer to them, came as a bit of a surprise to you when you first took the hotel over. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, the previous owner somehow overlooked letting me know that chunk of May was going to have me absolutely heaving. So yeah, we just kind of saw this mass of people. You'd think a bomb had gone off somewhere and they were exiting from somewhere. So we were people in their droves coming through eating, and we kind of had a rough idea of it because some packages had arrived before we took over, but we didn't really understand the dimension of what it was going to be. So the first year was a real learning curve for us, and we've tried in subsequent years to be as accommodating as we can be of people's needs. And it's so weather dependent. You know, people are soaking wet. There's tents to be dried and all sorts of things like that. And to get in things like gas canisters and other supplies that people would ask us for. So we're now really very enthusiastic about it. We enjoy TGO Week. It's a good week, and it's nice to see faces we've seen the previous year, maybe don't always see during the year. So it's a good fun week for us. It's great.
Well, I've already spoken to a few people who speak very fondly of you and having been through the last couple of years. So you're definitely building a good repertoire with the challenges that have visited this area before. The final thing was, I have noticed there's a few signs knocking around the place that you're twinned with Las Vegas. Now, I understand the Americans that come through tend to believe this.
It is true, and it was a rather drunken night when a friend of mine said, who lives in the village actually, he's a designer, and he said to me, my God, he says, you actually made the inn cool. How are we going to make the rest of Dalwhinnie cool? So I said, we need to twin with somebody. And he said, who? I said, I don't know. And I think 4 o'clock in the morning, I sent him an email going, Las Vegas. And at 6 in the morning, I got a PDF file done of the road sign. And I just emailed him back and said, let's do it, get the sign made. So we did. And as you see, there's all the merchandise, T-shirts and so on. But yeah, it's amazing. The Americans come in and they believe it. And we just listen and you can hear, wow, do you realise we're a twin with Las Vegas? And the other people just love the humour of it. So it's just been one of these little jokes that just completely took off. So it's
brilliant. Well, all PR's good PR, as they say.
Yeah, totally.
Well, Callum, thanks very much for your time. It's been a beautiful morning. I'm going to have to set off shortly, and I'm sure that you're going to have many more challenges come through, and other outdoor users as well. It's a fantastic base, ideally situated certainly off the rail line, off the main road, and no matter which way you get here, it's a fantastic and warm and welcoming destination. So thank you very much indeed.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks. Good having you here.
So there you have it. The Dalwhinnie Inn is something worth considering in this summer or all year round, and in the future. If you're listening to this sometime on from 2009, I'm sure Callum will be developing it as a destination for outdoors people, and it's certainly well worth the trip, and the best of luck to him on that score. So my thanks to my guests on this show, to Michael Holder, to Katie Teasdale and to Callum Doby. And of course, that brings this podcast to a close. We will continue editing the numerous interviews and so on that I've done, Andy and Shirley, and I shall try and mix them all together to make a series of podcasts explaining what it's like to walk across Scotland from 3 different people, from walking in 3 different directions. Yes, I've got a bit of a challenge on my hands, but it should be worth it at the end of the day. In the meantime, I hope you have a nice break, have a good week forthcoming, and also, if you can, try and get out and enjoy the wonderful surroundings around us as much as possible. So on that note, I'm going to leave you guys and catch up with you next time. Take care now. Bye for now.
This independent programme has been brought to you by theoutdoorstation.co.uk.